Welcome to Life Experiences. My name is Devin. Now, today's life experience is on unexpected miracles. And an unexpected miracle, I mean, would be something that maybe a miracle that you never in your life could ever dream of, or maybe something you've been through in your life turns into something good, and maybe like God has put something on your heart. Like maybe you need to do something better with your life, or you shouldn't do this, or to pray for a person that's going through a tough time, maybe with a disability or whatever condition they're going through that's tough. And right now, I'm going to give you one example. 10 years ago, back in 2007, one day, I met a lady in a wheelchair. She was pretty at work. And I spoke to her, and I met her mom and her grandma, and they told me about what she had been through in her life. And I mentioned to them about a house in my neighborhood with a wheelchair ramp, and they said it was their house, and I realized I know who it is that lives in my neighborhood, because I've been starting to wonder who's that person in the wheelchair that lives in my neighborhood, and then I know who she is. And then that night I prayed for her. I thought about her from time to time each day and would pray for her. I got to start to think about her more and more each day. And then, after a few weeks, one day, whoa, I thought about her all day till I realized it's become an obsession. And I feel like I must be losing my mind completely. What's wrong with me? I did not expect this to become an obsession. And then I'm starting to wonder, who am I going to talk to? Who's going to give me my answer while this is happening to me? And then I talked to somebody about it, maybe a family member, tell them about the lady in the wheelchair, and then I tell them about me becoming obsessed with her, feeling like I think I'm crazy or this is stupid what I'm doing, obsessing over a woman in a wheelchair. And the person I told it to said that it wasn't stupid, that God put that person in your mind to get you to pray for that person. Well, you know, that's what it could have been. Maybe God put that lady in my heart to pray for because she needs my help. And I still thought about her and I admired her. And I never in my life ever dreamed that someday that I would become obsessed with a woman in a wheelchair. It could happen to you too. You could become obsessed with something that you never in your life ever dreamed of too. God may put that person in your heart. And I felt at first, whatever I'm thinking, to not think of her as my girlfriend or my wife. Didn't think I could do that. And one day, I saw her mom again. She told me the church they went to, and she invited me to their church. And I saw that lady in the wheelchair at church. And I spoke to her, and I told her that I lived in her neighborhood, and a few other times at church I would see her and talk to her, and we would get talking to each other a little bit. And then one day, I ran to her, the place where I work, when I was selling shoes back in that day, and she went really overboard. She went waving her shoe like this, like she's so excited, and she just started giggling and so excited, like she's got a crush on me. I felt like she must have a crush on me. And then, well, I was kind of wondering if I should ask her out. I've always felt like I don't even know if I should. I've been a little nervous about doing it though, and one day I asked her out, she said sure. And then a couple of days later, she turned me down, and then the next day I was so heartbroken. When I left work, as soon as I started my car, I cried so hard on my way home from work, like whoosh, like the dam broke. It's like, why am I crying over someone like her? I never in my life thought that someday that even a woman in a wheelchair that I become obsessed with, that I'm actually going to be interested in her to where I want to take her on a date, and then get heartbroken over her. I never thought it would go that far. And then, well, I still had a hard time getting over her. I was kind of thinking about what am I going to say to her, like how am I going to work things out with her. And of course, at least somebody else came along, went out with her a couple of times, and just didn't feel I was ready to be serious about this other person that came along. You know, I still had a hard time getting over that lady in the wheelchair. And I felt like maybe God's telling me, you should call her up and tell her about how this obsession started. Well, one day I finally got the chance to tell her what happened. That the day I met her at work, and her grandmother and her mom told me about that house in my neighborhood, the wheelchair ramp. And I was wondering who that person was in the wheelchair, and I told her that each day I would think about her a little more and more, and she started laughing. And then I told her that I became obsessed with a woman in a wheelchair. And it's almost like God put her on my heart. Like God, you know, God can do miracles. Yes, I'm sure God will put somebody on your heart to pray for. And I told her that I'd never in my life ever dreamed that I would ever become obsessed with a woman in a wheelchair. And I'm sure she understood, because nobody would ever dream that someday a person in a wheelchair is going to cross their path, and then it's going to become an obsession. And then they're starting to wonder why this is happening to them. Like they're losing their mind completely. And, well, I'm very thankful that it did become obsession, because I feel like maybe God was telling me, you know, reach out to this person. And I'm very glad that I did. You know, it's almost like I never in my life dreamed that someday that I will become obsessed with a woman in a wheelchair, and then one day I realize I'm interested in her, or I want to take her on a date, and then I get heartbroken. And, well, that was the past, back in the year 2007, but hey, still it was a good year, because I got dates with other girls, you know. That's my blessing right there. So I always say, be thankful for what you got that year, because you had other good things happening to you. Things you almost didn't even think were going to happen. So just count your blessings from that year. Don't ever say 2007 was not a good year. And keep in mind that someday God's going to put somebody on your heart that you may need to pray for, you need to help out. And once you start praying for that person, you'll be so thankful that you did, and thankful God put that person on your heart. Well, that's all I got for today. See you guys next time. Bye.